just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if it's sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right, this is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 69 with Mike and Alex. Thank you guys for coming to this podcast, and both the Nets and Knicks have now been eliminated from postseason basketball. Nets ended their season on Saturday in a devastating overtime loss. So we'll talk about the Nets season coming to an end, and there we go. Alex, how the hell are you?
Doing great. I would have preferred the Hawks to lose on Sunday too, but I'll take a Nets loss any day. That was fantastic to see. I was pretty happy about that. I'm sure you weren't. So let's hear your thoughts.
Well, first of all, it got 10 times worse when Atlanta won. I mean, that really pissed me off.
Yeah, because you had the easy ride, not easy.
Oh my God,
yeah.
Trust me, and I know people the Nets Bucks was it. I mean, I fully expect the Bucks to just destroy them. Like, how would the Hawks stop Durant? Whatever. It doesn't matter. But I saw that, and it was just really difficult to watch. I didn't watch a second of the game. I won't lie. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So yeah, that was heartbreaking. I mean, there's so many points in that Nets game that was heartbreaking when they went up 5 points with about 5 minutes left. Durant has this miraculous turnaround type 2, which was centimeters from being a 3. They go to overtime. They couldn't hit a shot to save their life. And then Milwaukee just had a little bit more in the end. And the Nets at the very end of the game, Durant missed a shot. He couldn't hit anything in overtime, but he was dead tired. And just a circumstance of the season. It ends with the Kyrie injury, really hurt. Harden gave it his best. He wasn't the same. And they just didn't have enough firepower. Got nothing from Joe Harris. Got nothing from Jeff Green in the last games. Bruce Brown had a good game 7, but besides that was it. And it's another season without a title. And just got to move on to next year. And I just sucks. After we did this podcast in episode 68, game 6, I was so fucking pumped up, so excited. The amazing victories. I mean, Durant was just out of his mind good, and it just was not enough. And it's frustrating. You invest. I literally watched every second of this Nets season minus the second half in Utah when they did not have any of the big 3 and got their ass kicked. I watched every second. I watched every second, and then it just daggers. It's just painful. You invest all this time, and then you see something like that, and you see the opportunities, and you play them in your head. The Joe Harris miss, of course, the one in overtime when they're tied. He could not get a better look. And he was painfully bad. And, I feel like a fool for
big miss at the end, too.
My excitement to have him. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he was just, that sports, you make a shot here and there. Yeah, I don't want to say, like, obviously, look at all the other games, like game 5 that they won. You can make the case the other way. And it's just, it sucks. And then, of course, congrats to everybody that came out in full force celebrating the Nets loss in that season. But they'll be back next year, and we can do this all over again. For the podcast, it'll be good because it's like, we leave you on a cliffhanger. The Nets didn't win the title. So now there's more angst for us to get into next year, maybe.
Yeah, no. And you got to give me credit. I didn't text you at all after that game. I didn't touch. I didn't like.
I wanted you to text me.
There was no reason to. There's no reason. What am I going to say to you? I mean, like, haha, like, I don't care. Like, it's. There are people like I ran them down the list, like DJ or BKGO, the guys on Twitter that are always busting chops, and what's his name, William, also he's always coming at us and stuff like that, and that's cool. Those are the guys I would say haha to, Yeah. But for you, I know, we've become friends over the last year and a half, and it's just kind of like I don't want to I feel bad, you know what I'm saying? Because I would know how I would feel in your situation where it's like you have this super team, the road to the finals is paved, and Embiid is hurt, and you know what I mean? It's just like, oh my God, The Sixers, yeah, even so, like they're beatable even when Embiid is healthy. You know, Kawhi and the Raptors ran through them. Yeah, I mean, not ran through them. They got that lucky shot to win the series. But like,
I mean, they're not the same team. They don't have.
They're not the same.
They don't have Jimmy Butler.
They have Jimmy Butler. Yeah, as I drool on myself. Yeah, but like, no, it was there, and it was like, you know, I can't tell you the time that I've ever been. The only time was the 2006 Mets, where they were favored and they could literally, you know, they would have been favored to win the World Series if they got past the Cardinals. And you know, that was crushing. And I still think about where I was when that happened, when the strikeout and with the Beltran. Yeah, and it's just like you were there, and it's like right there for us, and it's just the best team all season. You know what I mean? And it's just. And then it's taken away from you like that because of injuries, especially, and even with the injuries, you still could have won it. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what's frustrating. I think Kyrie injury was bigger than the Harden injury. I mean, I'm not sure what you think about that.
Yeah, I think so. In the flow of how the series was going, they didn't have enough scoring, and when Kyrie went down and they weren't getting production from other places, and Harden was a shell of himself, they couldn't get points, they couldn't get baskets, and there's only so much that Durant can do, and he was brilliant. I mean, he was as good as you can be. I mean, the guy was putting up monster numbers. He didn't miss a second in these games, which, you know, paved the way to be a problem at the end. But you can't ask more from Durant. I mean, he was absolutely brilliant. Talk about a guy that lost the series and will get more attention for how great he is than maybe some of the wins that he got in Golden State, because he had all those guys around him in those games. And here he really had to carry the load, and he did an amazing job. So, I mean, Durant's proved he's
even with the Thunder. Even with the Thunder, he had a Westbrook as in his prime, and Harden off the bench. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, you know.
Yeah, no, the injuries killed him.
Yeah,
the injuries killed him.
No, they did.
But you know, Jeff Green said it, and he's right. The Nets win that game if they can defensive rebound. The second chance points, that was the problem for them all season, and that has to be addressed in the offseason.
Well, DeAndre is the guy. DeAndre was the guy they thought would do that, and he's a shell of himself, you know.
Liability on defense. Yeah,
and a waste of money, and everything.
Well, I mean, waste of money, but it did get Durant and Kyrie. So
the package deal. Yeah.
I understand that, and it's going to be a big issue for Sean Marks in this offseason to figure out what they want to do and how they want to move. But you know, he's just taking up so much cap space for a guy that's not playing. He's a terrible contract, obviously. But again, it was a package deal with the other guys. But so you just. That's it. I mean, that's it. So, yeah, you didn't text me. My phone, it's funny because my phone did blow up in that game, because it's like.
It's excitement. You're texting your friends. What's going on?
Yeah, in the game. I'm not even saying, it's just like, because people know when they think Nets, they think me. So it was like people I haven't heard from, like, this is that, this is this, this is that, you know, and
Congrats,
I'm just like, I'm like, yeah, I know, I get it.
You don't want to respond to everybody, but you kind of feel like you have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. So that was the end of it, and there you go. I'll eventually watch the playoffs again, but it's going to take a minute. It's just going to take a minute. It's just
you probably skip the conference finals.
I kind of think about it like when you break up with somebody and you get over it, and then you have moments where you think of that person and you get like these sharp, like, anxiety kind of pains. And I could just every so often, I just think back to some of these plays from this series, and it just puts me in a sour mood. But, you know,
you just have to block them on socials, on all your socials. You have to block them on all your socials. So you don't have to be reminded every 5 seconds. So no, I mean, to me, it's hilarious to me how that they lost, not how they lost, but that they lost because of everything and all the arrogance from the fans and all the arrogance from the team and the confidence from everybody was talking trash for 2 years. Like, we don't even need him last year, you know, whatever last year. It's just don't worry about that year. And it's about this year. And then now it happens. It's just like, oh. You know, it's just funny to me. And Nets fans had a right to be arrogant. They had a right to be cocky. I mean, especially after the Harden trade. You heard me on this podcast. I'm like, oh, my God. Like, dude, like, you know.
I think Alex,
them three healthy and right, like, they're going to steamroll, you know. Like, so.
That's what makes it hard. And I'm not one of those fans that was cocky or arrogant. That's just never the way I kind of act. And I think that's why maybe this is that more painful for me, because in both games 3 and 7, I thought they were going to win. I thought when they got to a place where they were going to, my God, I said, they're going to win this game. Like, they're doing this. And then Durant hit that shot, and your mind goes to a place where you're like, I have just seen something that I have never seen before as a fan. All-time greatness in a big spot. I mean, essentially, I like your Met analogy, but that's like the Andy Chavez catch. And then they couldn't like pull it off.
Oh, you saw lightning
firing in the background.
That was crazy.
That was kind of weird. Ooh, capture that shit. That was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nets fans there was arrogant Net fans. And I just hope from this experience they use this to build and now go into a full season with a team together, training camp, the whole
Get
deal,
healthy.
and they can, be healthy when it counts, because the Kyrie Irving injury was a fluke injury. Like, it wasn't anything to do with load management or him. He went up for the shot. He came down on Giannis's foot. Now, we want to get into a whole conversation about that and if it's dirty or not. I don't want to. Honestly, I don't care. But what my point I'm trying to make is there was a fluke injury. It wasn't because he's aloof,
Brittle
lazy,
or whatever.
He
Yeah,
was playing basketball hard. He came down, shit happens, and that happened. And then you saw James Harden, who's never injured, gets hurt because they're playing him too much against the load management Nets. And that was it.
Right.
And then
Yeah, but at some point you have to understand Kyrie is not able to, like, he's been hurt so many times in the playoffs. There was the finals where he was out the whole playoffs when LeBron carried them, the one in game 1 of the finals where he got hurt, the Celtics he got hurt, the Nets last year, the Nets this year. That's like right. 5 times off the top of my head. You know what I mean? That he's always hurt in the playoffs. I mean, can you really count on him? I know it's freak injuries most of the time. You know what I mean? It's not like his body's breaking down. Besides the knee, maybe that's his body. But it's just how, can you really be like, where we're all going to be healthy? I mean, Durant's a year older. I mean, he's played like 20 games in 2 years. I mean, so it's just, it's a lot of questions now. And the rest of the East is going to get better. I'm not raining on your parade at all.
No. I get that. I get that completely. And I'll agree with you with the Kyrie thing. I think he is injury prone. He seems to get, for whatever
especially
reason,
in the playoffs.
There's always a problem there. But fluke or not, true. With the Durant thing, I'll disagree with you on this front. I think people going into next season are going to have a very different feeling on Kevin Durant. This year, there was a lot of uncertainty. Fair. Nobody knew how he was going to play. Nobody knew if he was going to be good again. Nobody was like, oh, nobody comes back from an Achilles. If I hear somebody say, if he's 80% Kevin Durant one more time, I'm going to fucking lose my mind. Okay, he was
100%.
He was incredible. Yeah, he's going to be a year older, but don't tell me he's not now confident, how he's feeling about the injury. He's playing in the he's playing in the Olympics, which is something else to be discussed. By the way? Well, I mean, it's scary. Selfishly, it's scary. I mean, selfishly, it's scary. It's like, I love my country. I want to see him win, but if he goes out and gets hurt there, it sucks. But I would say for Durant, I tell you, going into next year, there's going to be no reservations about how this guy is. Everybody's going to be like, it's Kevin Durant again.
Balls to the wall, Kevin Durant. No holding back now. Just go. You know what I mean? Just do it and go, and that's it. And I just want to know what your reactions were. I'll tell you where my situation was. I was in Florida for the weekend visiting family. So that's really cool. The lightning keeps hitting. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, you can see it in the background. But I just want to know your reactions. Like, what did you do? The first shot, where he hit the 2-pointer with the foot on the line to tie the game. What was your reaction there? And then the air ball at the end of the overtime. What were your two like? What did you do? We all have a crazy story when these moments happen.
Well, I would say, when he hit the shot, it was hard to tell if it was a 2 or 3 based on the location and everything. My gut instinct said it was 2 because you couldn't see distance. And these are I was looking for this. So it went in, and I wanted to celebrate like they won, but I knew they didn't, and I knew it was just a tie.
You could see it live. You could see his foot was on the line live.
Yeah,
if you were really paying attention, you could tell.
Clearly worth a replay for obvious reasons.
Right, of course. I mean, I have to. Yeah.
But I sprinted, and we were watching it in the area that's right inside outside the kitchen, and I just sprinted into the living room, and I just was like, my wife and I both just yelled. It was just pure yelling. It was just yelling. We didn't wake up our son, thankfully, but it was just yelling. Like, this guy. I looked at my wife. I was like, this is the best basketball player I've ever seen in my life. And it was just, you just got like so emotional. It's like your body just went into a different experience. And then the second one, it was just so frustrating because then we had talked about this too before with the Drew Holiday shot when he took it up the court and didn't call a timeout. This was a different circumstance. And I'll always be honest. I wanted them to call a timeout there.
Really?
I just felt like in that situation with less time on the clock, get in a set, get Durant the ball, and get him some space. And
let him breathe a second.
And I got to be completely straight with everybody here. I had not seen that shot again. I couldn't. I watched it. I probably saw the replay when they showed it on the broadcast, but I didn't see it on Twitter. I didn't see it anywhere else. And then I finally got a DM from Dolan Trump with one of his jokes. He's like, "Look at this," and I told him, "This is the first time I've seen this shot since he missed it on Saturday." Right. How about you, Alex?
No, I mean, for me, I was in Florida visiting the family. You can see the tan, and I was watching it with my parents. My dad is a Knicks fan, but he doesn't have the passion of the Knicks like he used to. He's like Mets and Jets are like his big passion. but he likes the Knicks. But he was watching. He didn't care if the Nets win, So he's like, he's kind of rooting for him. And my mom just didn't care. She was just watching, and they both won. Oh, and I was like, no, it's a 2. Like I had I knew it was going in. Like in my mind, like when he shot it, I was just like, that's in. But then I was just like staring at his feet. Like that's in my trained eye. I was just like looking right down at his feet. And I was like, that's a 2. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, yes, we're good. We're still in this, So that was my reaction. And then when he missed it, when he got the air ball, I just started laughing uncontrollably. Like that was my reaction. And then at the end of the game with the foul, like the inbound foul, and they just had the shot. Like, can you just end the game? Harden just left. I don't blame him. Like, what are we doing? Just end the game. It was like whatever. That was ridiculous. And I don't know. So actually, I have breaking news. A message from our president, Dolan J. Trump. He goes, Mini Mike, I tried to warn you. I told you this team was cursed, and quite frankly, there was no chance they would have won a title. I even said they would lose to the Bucks on your podcast, which did terrific numbers when I was on. There's nobody who knows more about the Nets than I do. The history is undeniable. Drazen's death, Cassell's knee, Jason Williams' leg, Kidd's knee, Lopez's foot, and now we can add Kyrie's ankle and Harden's hamstring to the list. Thank you, and God bless MSG. Dolan J. Trump.
Well, first off, I'll just put it into this. Our numbers do better when you don't join the podcast. I have the data to prove it. If you want to go watch it, I'll send you the fucking data and show you our numbers are better when you're not on the podcast. So we can start with that. Number 2, you abandoned the franchise. You've moved on. You're a Knicks fan now. Get out of my fucking face. Move seriously. I don't need to hear from you about that. Nets, this is my team. They're not yours anymore. Go enjoy your squad. You've got a good young foundation, and you're there for the long haul. You've done an amazing job with your account. Continue success. But fuck off with that. I don't need to hear about that. I don't need to hear about it. You're not a Net fan anymore. Move on. You're one of us, and you quit. You quit. You took the easy route and went to the Garden. You took the easy route.
Easy? I don't know if that's easy. Is that easy?
Easy route. Yeah, easy route for him. Easy route.
Uh-huh.
Get lost. Better numbers. I'll show you the data. Better numbers.
We got spreadsheets. That's right. Yeah, no.
I'm kidding. He always does great. But you just got he's spunk a nerve. He's was this a tweet to me?
No, he wanted to break into the show, and he texted me. He was like, "Hey,
that was a text." It sounded like
I was like, "Let me."
Let
me. I wanted to surprise you on the air. I think it'll be fun. I thought it was fun. So
it picked a good time to bring it up. But seriously, I mean, I get it. He had something happen. He moved on. But I'm not. I've said this before. It's what they're gonna. If they win a championship. I'm not gonna fuck off with that. Give me a break. Seriously, like the Cubs won, the Red Sox won. Eventually, teams win championships. This is the Nets, who nobody even cares about. You think the Nets are cursed like those teams were cursed? Give me a break. Come on, it's like there's
not yet. On the way.
There's no Nets curse. The Nets are irrelevant, Dolan. The Nets are irrelevant. Nobody even cares about the Nets. Give me a break. They're just like, I can't wait for this next season. Then just already gear up. Let's already get into it. Let's get fired up about next year. They're gonna have Durant, Harden, and Kyrie. They're gonna have a year together. We'll see what happens. I hate that we even have to have this conversation because the season's over. But it is what it is. It is what it is. It just wasn't meant to be this year. Don't give examples of shit from the past. Come on, get out of my face.
All right. Well, you know what? I mean, the Nets had their big fifth. Oh wait, no, they don't. They had a big 5 in this game, not 15.
Well, at least the Knicks, it's like I got to see you getting into debates on Twitter about if who's worse, Joe Harris or Julius Randle.
That was DJ's fault. That was DJ's fault.
I will tell you this. You know what happened to me in this series? It made me realize how irrelevant the Knicks really are to me, and how I really shouldn't even care. Because then it got in my head. I was like,
the Nets are that good right now.
I'm disappointed we didn't win a championship. And I spent hours worrying about the Knicks winning games against the Pacers on the road in March. What a joke!
You'll be back to that next year. Right now, it's just fresh. You're just so mad about.
I think I'll go into next season, and when the Knicks are 6 games over 500, and people are making talking about some center they drafted out of Texas A&M and how he's going to be the next doctor, he's going to be the next Shaq. I'll just realize it's just these morons on Twitter, and I think I'll go into next season with more. I don't want to say an arrogance, but there will be a chip on my shoulder, angry, and I will not take as much shit from your a-holes that are around you.
You say that now. It's still a few months away. We got to see how the offseason goes. You never know what's going to happen in the offseason. We were talking about in our pre-show meeting about what's going to happen with Dame. If Dame gets on a team in the East that's stacked. Maybe the Bucks. Maybe you know what I mean. Maybe this. You know, who knows what happens? And then there's another super team in the East, and you're just like, oh no, you know what I mean. So there's a lot that can take place right now.
Of course,
so
of course.
And your confidence might not be as high coming into next season. I'll just put that because a lot happens. Everybody looks at the list. We talked about this last show. Everybody looks at the list of free agents. Like, well, who can afford? They take their calculators. I can afford this guy, and they can afford this guy, and this and that. You don't know what's going to happen. There's going to be a trade you don't expect. Before the Harden trade, I'm like, there's no way the Nets can get Harden without giving up Kyrie. And they got Harden for LeVert and Allen, pretty much. You're just like, how is that even possible? You know what I'm saying?
And a lot of draft picks, but yeah.
And a lot, but that was pretty much they didn't care about the draft picks. They're trying to win, that's irrelevant to them. They're trying to win championship. You know what I mean? So, and they have a legit chance. It's not like the Garnett trade. You know what I mean? This is like a legit, like we have a window. Who gives a damn about the picks? Right. So there's a lot there, man. And you shouldn't care, but you will care. That's just, you're just grieving right now. You're still upset about it. And this is your first time talking about it, you said. So I think that was a pre-show
I just can't.
But yeah,
it's hard to like. Everybody's like texting me, Joe Harris sucks. I'm like, what do you want me to say? He did.
Yeah, he sucked in the playoffs. I mean, so did Randall. So like it is what it is. Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody just I think there was anger towards me from a lot of people because I've been on Joe's bandwagon because of my UVA days when I was there and I saw him develop and turn into the league's best 3-point regular season.
You have a connection with him. Yeah.
Right. So I was feeling for him. So it was just like everybody coming like, oh, this Joe. It's like he was brutal. If he makes more shots, they probably win one of those games.
I mean, you can say that about anybody.
Of course. I get that.
Yeah, Durant's foot's not on the line. You're in the conference finals right now, and you don't even care about Joe.
I know, and I have that phone. I have that photo in my phone, and I have to stop looking at it. It's like
you got to delete it.
I just look at it. And I'm looking at it.
We show it. We can show it right now.
People have seen it. I look at it like hoping maybe it's not there, that like maybe I can rewrite history in my head, and it hasn't seemed to work. The Chris Carino call was amazing too, by the way, of that Durant. It was awesome. It was just
the making call. Shot. Yeah.
It was just like the crowd erupted and was electric. I mean, it was great. And then that overtime happened. I just can't even think. It's just fucked up.
No, I mean, it sucks, man. What are your thoughts, though, on Dinwiddie? Let's go from there. On Dinwiddie in the offseason, he opts out, right? He's planning on opting out the reports. So what are your thoughts? You think they're going to bring him back?
I don't know how they can bring him back. I mean, I'd love for them to bring him back. I'd be very interested because they're already so far over the luxury tax. I mean, he's going to crush.
They got to dump DeAndre somehow, and then they can get him back.
But how are they going to dump DeAndre? That seems like an impossible.
They don't have picks left to dump with him, right?
Right. I don't know how they would do that. But Dinwiddie, tell you, they could have used him. I mean, a guard that can get to the basket, shoot threes, and defend as a long point guard. He would have been fantastic. He's going to get money. Spencer Dinwiddie's a good player. I mean, he averaged for the Nets.
Injury though.
I get that, but there's such a need. I think he'll get paid. He averaged 20 a game last year when they had no one around him, and this year he only played 3 games or whatever, and then went down. Spencer was a key component to the Nets. When he got hurt, I was pretty pissed off about it, and it was pretty damn devastating. And he's a guy that's going to get. I think he's going to get serious attention. I know you don't want him on the Knicks, but he'd be great for your team.
No.
He would be great for your team.
I don't want him, man.
I desperately want Spencer to come back. I doubt that he will because I don't think the Nets are going to give him $20 million a year that somebody else can offer.
Yeah, I think he's going to go to a team that's really in need of a guard. And I know the Knicks fit that need on paper, but I can't give $20 million to a guy coming off ACL injury when he was also the leader of the culture Nets that were trashing the Knicks for like 2 years. I'm like, no, thank you.
Okay.
We go somewhere else. I mean, if he signs with the Knicks, obviously I'll cheer for him, and obviously I'll learn to like him like Theo Pinson. I know that's where you're going. But at the same time, Dinwiddie was just like a different level of kind of guy. He's trashing the Knicks during the Porzingis trade. He's just piling on. He's that guy. He can't take ownership when the Knicks beat him after a game. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, dude, I shoot higher, man. Like, we got space. We got players. We don't need to get these injury-prone guys. Like, or not injury-prone guys coming off knee surgery. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not desperate. We have a good squad. Like, let's just, you don't have to get guys like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's other avenues you can go. I mean, you got guys like, Lowry is probably like a last resort for me because he's old because of his age, but you can get a guy like that. If Chris Paul opts out, you can get a guy like that. I know they're older, but they're better. You know what I mean? Well, I don't know if Lowry's better than Dinwiddie if Dinwiddie's healthy and the age and component, but you know what I'm saying? Like just quick fix, get him in there, get a guy punt on the year, like quickly develop a little more. Maybe you draft a point guard, you maybe trade up in the draft and get somebody. There's so many things that can happen. It's so hard to predict what I want right now. I got to see who opts out, who opts in, what trades happen, who gets picked where, what trades happen in the draft. It's so hard every offseason until like the middle of the offseason. You can't really put your finger on what you want them to do. You know,
I understand that there's still so many moving components. We're only in the Eastern and Western Conference Finals, which are going to go on forever. It's just going to be so fucking painful. I mean,
the finals, you'll get back into it because the finals. I mean,
I don't know.
I think you'll.
Yeah, but I probably will. Right now, it's just like it just sounds so nasty to watch. It just sounds so awful. It just sounds like hell on earth to put that game on. That was, here's a cliche term, that was in the Mount Rushmore of bad losses for me. I mean, I
can see it. Trust me, I know. That's why I didn't text you. That's why I was just like, I can't even. If you lost like in the conference finals in Game 7 or in the finals in Game 7, it'll hurt, but it's not as much as it would hurt like this game was.
Well, it was because
you know what I'm saying?
It's because the Sixers and Hawks. I mean, it's just
the East is wide open right now. That's why the lane is there to get to the finals. Yeah. And the Suns are beatable. Clippers are beatable. Yeah, Kawhi's hurt, right? Chris Paul's with the COVID protocols, and there's so many. I'm sorry, am I making you feel worse? But yeah, there's the avenue is there.
It's true. They was there, and then you just think, and then in my head, I just think about one more shot. Oh my God, it's okay.
Right,
I'm okay.
right.
It's okay. It is what it is.
But I don't know if Kyrie would have even been healthy enough to come back in the conference finals. It probably would have had to be the finals. You would think because he's not playing the Olympics, which he shouldn't, obviously, if he's injured. You know what I mean? But same with Harden. I don't know how he's going to do that. He'll probably opt out eventually. You know what I mean? I can't see him going there. Durant, it's good for him to play in the Olympics because he needs to get some work and keep going. You know what I mean? Like, because he hasn't played a lot.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I mean,
it doesn't matter, but it's a glorified exposition. They're playing pickup with each other and the other NBA players all summer anyway. You know what I mean? Like, they're all friends and hanging out and playing ball. So they'll be doing the same thing if they weren't in the Olympics.
The hardest part about
the
hardest part about when these end is you just think like to get back to this point next year.
So long, right? It feels so
long. And then the regular season and the game, it's just like, oh my God, we're never getting back here. It's going to be forever. And I just got to sit and do more sitting. And then, there we go. So, that's lost.
I mean, listen, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. I mean, if after they lost that game, I'll just say this. I sat on my son's rocking chair before he was younger with this blue rocking chair. I just sat there for an hour and just was like, I just turned everything off and just sat there and just saw the text messages fly in and just was like, I can't believe they lost this game. Like I like the way they did that. It was a great basketball game though. I mean, it really was for
fans. It's phenomenal for somebody like me who like game. The Nets win, I would be annoyed. If they won, I would be annoyed, but it doesn't really affect me. You know what I'm saying? So like I was able to just watch the game with like, joy and like, wow, this is great. So for you, it's like, you're pulling your hair out. You're not enjoying this at all. Yeah.
I didn't sit a second. I stood the entire 5 quarters or 4 quarters in overtime. I just stood the whole time. I just couldn't sit. I couldn't.
How could
stand. You? I just stand it. Just stand it on the side.
Remember that the first time I went on your Mike Delivers last year and you asked me, it's a big Knicks game. What are you eating? Are you eating anything? I was like, yes, I stress eat in big games. You're like, how can you eat in those kind of big games? And it just shows that you're right. I probably couldn't eat in those games. I'm just thinking, I was just like put on the spot. I'd be like, oh yeah, sure. I do
remember that question.
Yeah, episode 33, I think it was, of Mike Delivers. I remember 33 because of obvious reasons.
Right.
But
I forced myself. We got pizza that night because I wanted something to eat that was like easy to consume. I didn't want to sit down and like just something I could just shove in my face.
I could have a steak and like cut up a steak.
So I made myself have a couple of slices before the game started because I knew once it got in there, like I would never get to it. So I made it a point to eat food. And then after the game was over, I wasn't hungry. And then I just went on a tear. I definitely ate my ate my feelings away.
Yeah, once it's over, you just need something to make you feel good. You know?
Yeah, it's short-term pleasure.
Speaking of feeling good, on the same level of this loss, Emmanuel Quickly, second team all rookie. What are your thoughts? You're just like, who cares?
I'm sorry.
How did he not get the first team? No, I'm just kidding. I really didn't care
I,
about that. I
can
really
I
didn't care
add-
about that.
that-
I was happy he was recognized on one of the teams. That's all.
he's great. He's gonna be a fucking
Yeah.
star. I couldn't understand why people getting like Knicks fans on Twitter got on my nerves with the Knicks had a better year than the Nets. No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
They definitely exceeded expectations, and the Nets had a more disappointing season, but technically no.
The Nets got long. If the Knicks got knocked out in the second round, and the Nets got like this, then you can make the argument. You know what I mean? Because it's like, hey, it was better. They got whatever, but you got knocked out in the first round. You got punked and embarrassed on your home floor in the first round, and then the Nets got knocked out in 7 games by the Bucks when they had 2 of their top 3 players injured. You know what I mean? So it's just like, come on, guys, let's have some.
It's just people. It's like, this is not difficult. This is actually. It's actually, there's no debate. They went further. They had a better year, but they had a more disappointing season. The Knicks definitely surpassed expectations and feel great about that. And from that standpoint, it was better. But you can't tell like right now, the Hawks had a better year than the Nets. You can't tell me otherwise. I'm not going to debate you on it. The Atlanta Hawks had a better season than the Nets. End of story.
Who would have thought that? That'd be crazy.
There's no debate. The Atlanta Hawks had a better year than the Nets. Okay. End of discussion. I don't care. There's nothing else to say.
Yeah.
That's just like such a phony way to sneak the Knicks into a conversation to punk the Nets. Like, fuck off with that. That drove me nuts.
No, I mean,
There's a lot of good people that listen. There's a lot of good people that listen that probably said that. I go, Mike, screw you.
No, well, the Knicks fans have every right to trash Nets fans. Not you personally, because you didn't deserve it, because you didn't talk trash. You just didn't like the Knicks, and you just said you didn't like the Knicks. You hope they lose. That's all. But there are a lot of Nets fans that have been trashing the Knicks for like 3 or 4 years straight, and they deserve all of the slander. And they know who they are, and they have the ones that are accounts are probably suspended by now, and they deserve everything from Knicks fans, laughing everything. And that's why it's kind of a rivalry, because of all the trash talk. The Nets organization too. You get the Oakley on the big screen. You're honoring Marv Albert. You're putting up billboard. Give me a break, dude. Well, and what was funny? What's funny? Wait, quick. We'll go back to that. Though. Quick thing. I'm walking out of. So I landed last night in JetBlue, 12:30 a.m. At JFK. So I'm walking out of JFK. At JetBlue. I took JetBlue, but I landed at JFK and I'm walking to get out of there as fast as I can. And I walk by and there's 2 Nets, advertisements, and they just lost. And I'm just like looking at that. I'm like, this would piss me off so much if they won. You know what I mean? But instead I'm just laughing. I'm like, hey, get your tickets now. I'm like, next year. Yeah, that's all. But anyway, Marv Albert, go ahead.
Yeah, no, the Marv Albert thing is a little complicated because there definitely is a jab there. I don't disagree with that. But he also was the Nets broadcaster for a while.
He was a long time too.
Games, and then the Knicks not recognizing him is so silly. Like they recognize him.
I mean, there's something deep there, and it was kind of how he got fired with the not allegations.
I know
true things that he did. That's a true story. You can Google it. I'm not going to go into it. So there might be something there where he probably embarrassed the Knicks organization, and then James Dolan probably he doesn't take any crap, and he probably he's a very sensitive guy, as you know. So
that's the answer.
There's something there. I mean, Mike Breen did say something. Mike Breen did say something. He had like a nice statement, during one of the last Knicks games when he was doing that game at the Garden, probably game 5. And so they did say something, and that could have just been Breen going rogue. And as they were as he was talking about it, they were just showing the roof of the Garden, like they couldn't even put him on camera. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a little petty, but I get it too. I get it though, because there's something deep there because of. But you think what happened with him? I'm telling you, there's got to be something deeper there. I'm not excusing it.
Bygones be bygones. The guy's ending his career. It's over. You can't.
He's the original one of the original not original, but original from who can remember from back then. Yeah.
I'm not telling you they have to give a plaque, but they can't do 2 minutes for the guy in the arena for all of that. Like, to me, it's like Dolan. I've actually agreed with you on a lot of stuff with Dolan about how I don't think he gets fairly treated. To me, I'm just like, put it aside for 2 minutes. I would at least just to give him his recognition in that spot.
Right. I hear you. But like, I'm not going to repeat myself. I just think there's something there. There's something more there than we even know. And he was kind of a creep. You know what I'm saying? So he might have been like creepy for a long time, and we don't know. When people get caught with things like that, they've been creepy for a long time. So there's some stuff there. So it might be deeper than we even know, and maybe Dolan is protecting Marv Albert by not even saying all the things that happened in that time. So you don't know. There could be something there. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Yes, from the surface, you're like, come on, just put him on the screen for freaking 30 seconds. It's just like, hey, you put everybody up, whoever shows up at the Garden, you don't even know who they are. They have a TV show, and like, hey, this is Joe from, some Netflix show that's going to be 2 seasons, at the Garden, but right. So it's just whatever. I'm okay with them not doing it, but at the same time, I get where you're coming from. So we'll put it that way.
And to circle back to the original point of it, putting down, the Nets, and then you're saying the organization for taking jabs at the Knicks. So that's why it was feeling good for you to see the Nets team go down and lose there. And we'll see what happens next year with these two franchises when they get together and play. It was nice to have, it was funny because like Knicks fans want to make fun of the Nets, but they couldn't with Durant. It was just like the guy was so epic. It was hard to find slander on him. And like, we always talk about Durant and the Twitter and all this other bullshit that goes around him and everything that the sensitivity, but on the court, he was in the post game too. I thought his answers, I thought it was one of the.
What did he say? I didn't see. What did he say?
He just gave credit to Milwaukee. He was like they just played better. They just beat us in moments. Like kudos to them. They're a good basketball team.
Excuses, right?
And he made fun of himself. He goes, I wish I didn't have such big feet. He said that, which he just said he was just a class act in the loss, and he just said all the he was just honest. And
I heard Harden kind of made the excuse, like I'm hurt, but he was. So it's a
weird dynamic, Alex, because
I didn't see it though.
No, just saying in general. Like if I'm going to tell you, I said I think the Nets would have won the series if they're healthy. Is that an excuse?
I agree.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that's where they lost, but I just think like, how can you not say that? You know what I'm trying to say? It's like, oh, yes, of course, it is an excuse, but if Kyrie and Harden are playing together, but that's also one of the issues of the Nets. They had injury issues. So
the Bucks were without Dante DiVincenzo, so it evens out.
Yes, definitely evens out. Well, we didn't have Jeff Green for the first 2 games. We saw the difference there, and. Mm-hmm. But Dante DiVincenzo, who is a good player. Oh,
he's a good player, man. He's one of the he's a starter or a rotation player. At least I don't remember what it was, but he's a big analytic guy. He's a big plus minus guy, like big like that. Yeah. He's a big.
PJ Tucker is going to be on the Nets next season, by the way, right? That feels so right to me.
Yeah, of course. I could see that. Not of course, but I could see that totally. That's just they're boys, and that's why it was so funny with the bodyguard coming in and shoving everybody. It's just like, dude, we're not really gonna fight. Like, we're just getting in each other's face. Like, can you relax? Like, So, anyway, go ahead.
You see the Tucker and Durant's mom?
Yeah. He's like, I love you too. After she was like trashing him.
She pulls down her mask and she goes, "This is basketball. It's not football." And then he goes, "I love you," and then she goes, "I love you too." So, I mean, there's a respect there. I mean, they're competing at the highest level, so they want to win. They're not going to be best friends. Yeah. But there's just
maybe they are friends. Like friends. They're some of the toughest games you play at the park or with your best friends. You know what I mean? You're shoving each other, and then you go out for a beer afterwards. You know what I mean? Or a slice of pizza. So it's just it's all there. I don't know. What do you bring it to the Knicks a little bit? What do you think like is their main topic, like their main thing that they need to do? I know we talked about the last time. What's the first thing you think that's going to happen once this offseason starts for them?
I think the internal growth's most important. I think if RJ Barrett continues to get better and Julius Randle sustains another season like that, the Knicks are instantly good. I think Randle is the key to unlock. I think you need to see improvements from Toppin and quickly, and then they just have to fill in the holes at the point guard position. I think this. The Mitch thing is interesting, and then just continue to keep drafting, because if you do that trajectory and draft right, okay, you got the Dallas pick, you got the Knicks pick. What are they going to do with that? Do they package it up? Do they move it up? Do they change the dynamic with that? Now you've got Obi Toppin improving. You've got RJ Barrett, who's a player. I think you cut ties with a lot of the guys like
Ntilikina, yeah.
Ntilikina and Knox. Those experiments are done, and you just keep drafting and building internally, and then making smart moves. I think if you could get somebody like a Chris Paul, I think it's a no-brainer. Everywhere he goes, this guy's teams are incredible. He was at Oklahoma City with nobody around him, and they won 46 games. Now you look what he's doing in Phoenix with some talent. It's a team that has a chance to win an NBA championship. So I think on that side of thing, and then we'll see what the free agents are, man.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious what you thought, because it's just.
What do you think, Alex?
I can give my thoughts. I can give my thoughts all day long, and it's just. I'm curious about what other people think and who actually pay attention to the team. No, I think you're right. I think you nailed it. They just need to just develop and keep going and keep building. And there's no doubt in my mind they're going to work based on Julius Randle from last year to this year. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to keep this playoffs is going to eat him up inside, and he's going to work as hard as he can to keep getting better. Same with RJ Barrett. That's why they mesh so well together. And the rest of the guys seem to fit in, and it's just like you got to just upgrade with real NBA players. Do not scratch the bottom of the barrel with these minimum contract guys. And you could bring back I would bring back like a Reggie Bullock, because he seemed to be like a good fit for the team and he fit in with everybody. But he could be a backup. You know what I mean? He doesn't need to be starting for you. And you get guys like, look what the Hawks did. The Hawks went in the offseason. They tried, and look at them. They're in the Eastern Conference Finals. With two guys the Knicks easily could have signed them, Bogdanovich and Gallinari. If they knew Julius Randle was going to be this season, which there's no way they knew this, and that RJ would take a step, which they probably did know that, but they probably would have went in on Gallinari and Bogdanovich. You know what I'm saying? You can look at it from now, but for me personally, I knew that they were a better team on paper. They just needed to add NBA players. They added an NBA player in Nerlens Noel, and look how good he did for the team. Austin Rivers was good too, but they let him go because he didn't really fit, and they got Derrick Rose. Look how good you got a real NBA player. You know what I mean? Stop with these guys. Alec Burks has his good games here and there, and he looks incredible at times, but then he's a pumpkin. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, you need guys who are real players. Get me guys like DeRozan. Get me guys like Schroeder. I don't care if they're not the perfect players. That's the problem. These Knicks fans, they want to hold on to their own guys, and we can't get rid of this guy. We can't get rid of this guy. We can't get rid of this guy. But, that guy sucks. 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 Meanwhile, these guys are perennial all-stars. It's just you know what? There's no perfect players. Unless you're LeBron James, and even he gets slandered. Even Durant gets slandered. It's just get pro players. That's my bottom line.
I like that, getting just pro guys, NBA guys that can come into the league and can.
Look at Landry Shamet. You added Landry Shamet. Look how good he was for you on the team. You know what I'm saying? Guys like that for the whatever. But you made some trades and you got Harden, but then you have Landry Shamet just sitting there like this pro rotational NBA player that can just step in and give you minutes. You know what I'm saying? These are the guys you need on your roster. You know what I mean? Like Torian Prince or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Guys like that. Yeah, exactly. Spencer Dinwiddie. No, thank you. But yeah, I know. It's just it is what it is. So, you want to go through some of the big stories?
Yeah, let's do it.
Last week, I think it was June 16th. It was the craziest day with the NBA news. It just was out of control.
Just want to get after the Nets won Game 5.
Yeah. So and right after we record, of course, all this news happened.
Yeah. Tons of it, baby.
So thoughts? Kawhi hurt. Thoughts? Load management, or just is it because of the bubble, like LeBron says, or just whatever?
I think it's just I don't the whole LeBron
bad
thing
luck
with that. I think that's just his narrative. Just bad luck. Just bad luck.
CP3 and protocols.
I mean, that's just even worse luck.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, man. We can get it. I don't want to get into that, but people listen to. Stan Van Gundy out. The Pelicans. Thoughts on the Pelicans?
Makes sense. It just didn't feel like. I mean, it's all about Zion now, keeping him, and it just didn't feel like that was. Felt like they underachieved considering the talent that they had on their roster. I thought they had with Ingram and Zion. It just felt like they had guys that could. They just never gelled. Their defense was horrendous. I mean, they had some of the worst.
They had talent too.
Yeah, they have talented players. They just were a bad team. So I think I don't like franchises that after a year keep a guy. If they know they made it's like, okay, it wasn't right. Let's just cut ties
Nate McMillan
and move on.
That's what happens. They need Nate McMillan. Clearly, they. It's just what happens. But no, I don't understand how David Griffin gets a chance to hire anotother coach. That's just bizarre to me. You know what I mean?
How does a GM lose a job?
Yeah, how do you just get to hire multiple coaches as a GM? I just, and everybody put him on a pedestal. He won a championship with LeBron. Okay, LeBron wanted to come back to Cleveland. It was a personal reason. You did nothing. You traded Wiggins for Kevin Love. You know what I mean? Okay, but it's just, Kyrie was you won the lottery, and then you won the lottery again and traded that lottery pick for Kevin Love. So I mean, how great of a GM are you? So I was happy the Knicks dodged that bullet.
But to defend David Griffin a little bit, the ancillary moves on the side, like bringing in a Richard Jefferson, bringing in a Mo Williams. I mean, there are other little things that you have to do to win the title. But yeah, obviously, once they got the word that LeBron was coming, then Kyrie was there, and then they pulled the trigger on the Kevin Love deal to get the third guy. I hear you. I mean, yes, that the LeBron part triggered all of that. If LeBron doesn't go there, I mean, obviously they're not winning a championship, and who the hell knows if what kind of job he's doing there, because Kyrie's not a number one player, and you're gonna build around like a Kyrie Wiggins thing would never have worked.
No, it wouldn't have. Okay, next, Scott Brooks out with the Wizards as a coach.
Just time. Just felt like it was time. He'd been there forever. They're never getting over the hump. They needed a new move.
They had talent too on that team too. I thought they were going to be really good. I mean, they still made the playoffs, but I thought they were going to be way better than that. Don Nelson, yeah, and Westbrook. Don Nelson and Rick Carlisle out on the Mavs.
Let me hear your Mavs thoughts.
My Mavs thoughts is that Porzingis trade cost them their jobs. Like, you know what I mean? Because now they're in this mid-level, the Mavs are in this mid-level purgatory in the NBA where you never want to be. You're like, you have Luka, so you're always going to be good, but like your team is not going to be good enough to win a title. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, now you're stuck with Porzingis, this giant contract. Hardaway's coming off the books. So, I mean, they'll probably bring him back. They like him. But what do you do? I mean, where do you go? Like, they're bringing in all the old guys now, like Nowitzki and Michael Finley are coming in to help rebuild the organization for Cuban. And like, what happened to all this cockiness? Yeah, the Porzingis trade. The Knicks is so stupid. We got our James Harden when the Rockets got James Harden. Look at this. Oh yeah, it really worked out well for you guys. Enjoy that.
He really, I mean, the truth of it is, because he's just been not good. That's the end of that's it. He's been bad. I mean, Porzingis has been bad. And maybe it's just, the New York arrogance of him as a Knick building up what he was. And then in reality, injuries. I mean, he's just a different player. Confidence, shot.
He's not as good as a shooter as his perception is. You know what I mean?
And I think when he came in the league, he was more of an anomaly in the sense of that guys didn't do that as much. But now that everybody's shooting threes, it's like he's lost. And if he can't do the inside stuff, he's lost some of his luster, because you've got guys like, who am I trying to think of? I'm trying to think of the guy's name, and he's spacing out on me. Like Daniel Tice can shoot threes at a better
Brook Lopez. Yeah.
I mean, everybody shoots threes now, so it doesn't. He's not as rare, and I know he's a little bigger, and he's got a little more skill set than those guys. I get that. I know you're not. Come on. But
it was the allure of you didn't know who this guy was and what he could be. It's already cut you off, because it's like he coming from Latvia, and you're just like, who is this guy? And then everybody's upset that they picked him, which Knicks fans ended up being right. Everybody's upset that they picked him. Well, you gotta have to pick him. We went through that because he was the best player on the board. But anyway, so then you're in the summer league, and he jays nails a jump shot in Okafor's face in the first summer league game. You're like, whoa, like look at this guy, and he gets a couple shots. You're like, okay, and then in one of the first games, he has a breakaway and he spins on Paul Millsap, and you don't see it. You're like, where did that come from? And he dunks it home. Like, oh my God, this is like the Messiah. You know what I'm saying? Where did this guy come from? Down from the heavens. And then all of a sudden you realize that he gets hurt, and you're like, oh, this guy's just a punk. Like, it's just like, okay, never mind. So it's whatever. I'm happy. Trading him reset the entire Knicks organization, allowed them to start from scratch and really rebuild, because when they drafted Porzingis, they still had Melo. They were like in this tweener stage, and they had to waste a couple of years. They had Phil, and they're drafting Frank, and they had Knox, and then this, and they're like, what the hell is going on? You know what I mean? Porzingis like, get me out of here. And the Knicks are like, all right, you know what? You're not helping us attract a max contract, so let's get you out of here. You know what I mean? So we can go over that a million times. Okay, next, Jokic winning the MVP and Ball winning the Rookie of the Year. What do you think?
It doesn't feel like it doesn't have the energy that it used to when I was younger. Maybe that's because I'm older, and I'll say that as a broader topic. Like, I remember being a kid, and it'd be Jordan won the MVP, Barkley won the MVP, and there was something exciting about it. It just seems like, all right, Jokic won. Yeah, that makes sense. There really wasn't.
You knew he was going to win. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, and then Ball. I mean, who else would it be? Yeah, I
Anthony
mean,
Edwards.
Edwards had a strong.
I think
Yeah, it could be Edwards. I guess those are the two the class of the draft.
the Bulls is a
But
better team. The Hornets are a better
yeah,
team.
the Hornets.
Yeah.
The Hornets made the play-in or whatever, and the T-Wolves struggled, but they got better as the season progressed. Yeah, I don't
They
know.
had that crazy dunk, Edwards. Edwards had that nuts dunk on somebody. I forgot who was on. Yeah.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah.
Yes. Well,
yeah.
you know what is interesting too about Alex? All right, if you have the MVP, you don't lose in the second round in 4 like that. When we were younger,
They had an injury too. They had an injury.
They didn't have the injury to Murray. That's fair. That's a fair point.
That's a big deal.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But
He
if you
carried them last year in the bubble playoffs. Yeah. But
I
anyway,
don't
go
know.
ahead.
It just seemed boring. What do you think?
Right. No, I hear you. It's just so in this era, you kind of know who's going to win. Like you have the media darlings, you know what I mean? The beginning of the year, it was like they were angling LeBron getting that MVP. Like, look at him, look how old he is, and he's playing every game, and this. They were kind of getting him. You felt that momentum that they wanted to give that last MVP to LeBron, and then he gets hurt and they can't do it. You know what I mean? And then it's just like became Luka for a little bit, and now it was just like you knew it was the Joker, and you just knew it was coming, and it was just like kind of like who cares? Maybe that's part of it. Also, like you just know. When you're a kid, there's no Twitter. You look at the newspaper, you see Sports Illustrated articles. You're just like kind of talking to your friends on the bus, and it's just you never know, And then it just becomes you're like, I knew Jokic was going to win like 3 months ago, So
I think you're right. I think that's what it is. It's just that there's instantaneous reaction to everything, so we knew who was going to win in a sense beforehand, and it wasn't the mystery that we just go into and we see the picks. Right? There's all this interviews and in audio and Twitter and different components all over the place and websites that it was almost you hear NBA analysts on everybody else's NBA podcast all the time. So you kind of just piece together all of this information. Yeah, you kind of just knew already as opposed to being surprised by it. So I think that's a good point. I think there's something to that.
Yeah. So all right, cool. I made a good point. That's great.
You always make good points. Don't be tough on yourself. You're a point getter.
I'm a point getter.
You get buckets.
Yeah.
You go on this podcast
host.
and you get buckets. Unlike Joey Buckets.
Yeah, man. Oh, I'm making points, man. Like Jacob DeGrom gets his strikeouts, man. He's a freaking incredible dude. Like, do you see that catch today with the line drive? He pitched, he just went like boop. No, just like that's easy. Well, that's
I like today when they have to do the protocol to check his glove and hat and belt.
He was like, "You want him to take these off?" He's like, "Go in his pants." He's like, "Are you good?"
Yeah. I mean, he gives up 2 hits and it's like a bad day.
Yeah. No. Well, he finally got the runs for it. DeGrom to Lugo to Diaz. What is that?
His ERA is at
0.5. It's like that's not even video. You can't even do that in video games. It's just like it's like too hard, But DeGrom, Lugo, Diaz, man, that's the combo right there. DeGrom, Lugo, Diaz.
He'll have a bad moment. He'll have a moment where they'll lose. Don't worry. They'll screw it up.
Yeah, he'll get bombed to give up 4 runs one game.
It'll be a play. We'll get in the playoffs and it'll be like he'll give up more runs in that one game than he did in the season. It's like, what happened? It's just inevitable. That's my mood right now. The inevitable bad will happen in sports. Whatever it is, it'll happen. Just wait for it.
This is how we're very similar. This is why our podcast is named Bad Weather Fans, because our team's just it's never going to work out. It's just not going to work out. And that's how we both feel about our teams. But we're going to have passion. We're going to root for them. We're going to follow them. We're going to talk about them. But you know what? We know deep down, like, their teams are never going to win. It's just what it is.
Dolan, the Nets will figure it out. They will figure it out.
Yeah.
I just got sensitive to him saying that. But you're right.
No, it's all right. So anyway, so you want to go to the poll question? Go from there?
Yeah, let's do it, dude.
Stuff there.
Let's go, bro. Let's go.
So, Knicks fans, since the Hawks advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals, does that somehow validate their first-round loss? Most of you know my answer is what I wrote. Yes, no, or I don't give a fuck anymore. What do you think?
I don't give an F anymore.
It was close, very, very close, even poll. So 35.4% yes, 30.2% no, and 34.4% I don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah.
So it's
validate. I don't know if validate is how I would phrase it, because does it take the blow? Does it ease the pain or something?
It doesn't for me, man. It's like, are you going to root for the Bucks right now?
I don't know who I'm going to root for.
You hope they suffer.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, probably the Hawks, I guess. The Hawks. I don't right now.
You're just so
I'm rooting for someone from the West. I'll say that.
I hear you.
I just, yeah.
But it's like when we were kids. You think I'm going to go root for Reggie Miller if he beats us after the Ewing finger? I'm like, yeah, go Reggie. Like, like no, you know what I mean? Like, screw that. No, I can't root for. I wasn't rooting for the Bulls when they beat the Knicks in the playoffs. Like, are you kidding? Like, these Knicks fans are out of their mind. You know what I mean?
Like,
you
scared me, Alex, on this podcast today. When you're like, oh, I think about that Mets Cardinals game 7, and I still go, oh, like I'm gonna have to have this with me now forever.
It's a forever thing, man.
I know it's
the Ewing finger roll, the Marino fake spike, the
it's there.
Beltran staring at the curveball. There's so many things. Not being able to tackle Mendenhall, like there's so many things. The Harvey coming out for the 9th gives up the walk, and Terry doesn't take him out. There's so much. It's all there, man. It's all there. You know, the loss in week 17 for Buffalo with the Jets in 2015. There's so many things that just, you know, Kimbrel Tompkins with the ball in his hands in that game, and that get to make the catch. You know what I mean? At the end, there's so many things, and it's just part of sports, man. You just add to listen. That's why they keep saying it's going to make it so much sweeter when you finally win. It's what Cubs fans say, what Red Sox fans say. What all these fans say, that it's going to make it so much sweeter, but I'm waiting for that. I think if my teams win championships, let's say it's all relatively within the same amount of time. If I get one, I'll be happy. But like, I think it'll take some of the passion away from me, because at this point, I feel like I'm so into it still that I've put so much time, my entire freaking life into this, that I can't stop now. Like, you know, it's just like, if I get some of those wins, it'll take the edge off, where it's like, I miss a game, like, right, you know, I missed that game, whatever, I got things to do.
If the Nets were to win if the Nets won the title this year, I could tell you, like, going into next season, I probably wouldn't have the same passion that I'm gonna have.
Yeah, house money. It'll be all house money.
You go out like whatever. But now it's gonna be, the pain is you know, you amped it up, the pain. You've added pain to the pain.
I always feel like I'll go out like Bill Cowher with the Steelers. Like, he went in Steelers forever in these AFC Championship games, got to the Super Bowl, loss, finally wins the Super Bowl. Coaches one more year to defend the championship, and then was just like, all right, that's it. See you guys later. That's the end of it.
$2.3 million on CBS or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, do nothing. I'm gonna watch some games. I'm gonna go coach the Carolina Panthers. Like, yeah, sure. Like, you know, I'll just stay here.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, so some poll question responses we have. So let's see. Cooney's the go-to on this show. He goes, makes me feel no different. Can't look at things that way. Personally, just proves we overachieved in the regular season, and a lot of work needs to be done still. Also makes you wonder what Hawks seeding would really be if they had Nate McMillan all season long. It's true. The Hawks really, it just makes Lloyd Pierce looks like, oh my God, dude. Lloyd Pierce or David Fizdale, they both look like guys that are just, whew. And I think those are two guys that Celtics should definitely hire. What do you think? Right? Hire Lloyd Pierce.
Well, especially Lloyd. I mean, my goodness gracious, to go this far in the playoffs and to defeat two. I mean, they defeated two of the tougher places to win in the
right.
2-1 in the Garden, and they went. Would they go 3-? Would they go in Philly? 2-1.
I don't know. They won Game 7 in Philly. They won Game 7 in Philly.
Yeah, I mean, that's not easy to do. Like, to go into the Garden and then go into Philly and do that. That's a hell of an achievement right there.
Right. And Embiid was hurt, but he was fine. He was putting up, I mean, not fine, but he was still playing.
The Simmons thing is fascinating.
I know. I think there's something mental there, man. You heard Shaq on the postgame where he's like, if he said that, I would punch him in the face, and I believe him. You know what I mean? It's just like, guys like that are never going to win, man. You know what I mean? And it was a question out of college, because like, how are you to me, it's like, how are you the number one pick in the draft and your team couldn't even make it to the tournament? You know, he said the same thing about Markelle Fultz. And like, how are you this good at the number one pick and you can't even get in the tournament? You know what I'm saying? There's something there. I know LSU, they said there was like messes up with the things of the coach. I don't remember all the stories, but still, it's just like, there's something there with that. Next time that happens, you know, I just try to listen.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I'm trying to think back to like the number one picks or high level picks and guys in tournaments, like, and that they weren't good. I mean, the top of mind, I'm like, okay, Carmelo was a top pick. He was great. Wade was great. Bosh was great. LeBron was out of high school.
But then you have some high school guys like Dwight Howard out of high school.
Derrick
Rose won was he in the champ? He didn't win, right? He lost to Chalmers with that shot, right? And that was so yeah. But he was in the championship game, so you're like, all right, this guy is freaking. Look, he took Memphis to the championship game. You're like, this guy's legit, you know. So I don't know. I know college doesn't really matter, but like if you can't, like, even Kyrie on one ankle was playing in the tournament. You know what I'm saying? Like when he was in college. Another time he got hurt. See, it keeps happening. It always happened, Kyrie. We'll come back to that.
Anthony Davis was good in Kentucky, and then he got great when he got to the NBA because he developed more. But it's kind of an interesting thought. You've given me something I want to look into because me and my
two off the top of my head.
I like this stuff. I'm just interested. What was
you're a draft guy? Yes, you're.
I'm just interested to think who's a player that had who was a high top 3 pick, who was just based on potential out of college after 1 year, and his team wasn't great. Like I think Bosch.
Well, Durant didn't. Texas didn't really win a lot. Texas didn't win with Durant. I mean, they might have won one tournament game. Yeah, they might have won one game in the tournament, and then that was it. And they retired his number. Well, they had to because Texas doesn't really have any big time players like that. They had to secure Durant. You know what I mean? You have his number in the rafters and be like, Kevin Durant played here. So, but that's that might be one. But the two that always stick out in my mind are Fultz and Simmons. I mean, they're fairly recent, and I remember having these conversations with people like, how can you take this guy number one if you can't even take it? Like he's at Washington, and you can't, what I mean? And it's like, why are you going to Washington first of all? And number two, like, how do you not get to the tournament if you're that good? So. I mean, I know he had his, mental issues and not mental.
Yeah, but I would say
he got in his own head when in the pros and stuff like that. So,
and just because you didn't go to
pretty good now, he's a good player. He's a good player now, but he's not a number one pick.
The injury thing, but I would say just because you didn't go to a big time school doesn't necessarily mean you could develop and get better. Like
a Steph Curry. Steph Curry's winning games in the tournament, and he's in Davidson, and you're like, wow, this guy's freaking good. Like he's little, so he dropped a little bit and didn't drop far enough, unfortunately. But it is what it is. That's one that I'll remember. Same with Sexton.
So excited
Hopefully
for my
Sexton is going to be
basketball homework now.
Yeah, Colin Sexton's the guy that I want for the Knicks. I mean, I don't know how you probably have to take on Kevin Love to get him. So I don't know if I do that, and I don't know how long. I think Love has 2 more years on his contract, so I don't know if I do that. Sure. But if you're not, but if you can add Colin Sexton to this team, bring back Rose, and you have Quickly, and then you have Love with off the bench with Mitch and Randall, and that's a pretty good team, man. I'll take that. People aren't fans of Sexton because he's not the perfect player, of course. You know what I'm saying? Knicks fans just want the perfect players, but then they fall in love with Frank Ntilikina. So I don't, what the hell do I know? So anyway, okay, let's get to some more. Our boy Damon 718 at Takeem13. He said nope. So he's not. Doesn't think it validates. We'll remind everybody the question went off on a long tangent. Since the Hawks advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals, does it validate the Knicks win? The Knicks lost to them in the first round. Next, we have Nino. He's at El Nino 201. Doesn't do anything for us. We just know the Hawks are pretty real. They went out and spent their offseason cash to put themselves in this position. The loss still sucks, but we as fans, as well as Philly fans, underestimated the crap out of them. Now here we are, all losers. Well, it's a good point.
So am I.
Nino's the man. That's my boy.
So
He's
Nino.
so funny. Yeah. Or Nino. I think it's Nino. But it's El Nino. So okay, yeah. So then we have Phil. He's at Coach Cohen 12. Makes me feel better about it at least. That's what you were saying, Mike, where you're like, validate no, but maybe makes you feel a little bit better. That makes the Knicks look a slightly better. I guess I can wrap my head around that feeling. But saying like, oh, look how good they are, it makes us look so much better. Like, no, not so much better, but whatever.
Right.
My boy at Uncle Fulio. Knicks were favorites in the series. Excuse me. The Knicks were favorite in the series. So no, let's knock it off with the moral victories already. Right. The loser mentality needs to stop. Stop this crap. That's what I have to say.
Keep it going. Losers.
You want some more? Let's go. Yeah, exactly. See, you're already ready for the Knicks to lose. You said there was no passion. You're already back. It took you like 20 minutes and you're back.
I'm just joking. Losers.
Yeah, no. Andre Lewis at ATLWR14. I look at it as that means we could have beat the Sixers. Ha ha ha.
Oh, that's funny. That's good.
Yeah, let's see.
There's been some good answers today, Alex.
Yeah. Okay. Dave Lindemann at DVLND3. Knicks didn't have and still need a legitimate point guard and a decent shooting guard. Like the Knicks, the Hawks are young, but they're more balanced, can spread the floor. That's a good point. And you know why, Mike? Do you know why the Hawks are more well balanced? Do you know why?
Because they drafted well.
Because they spent their money in the offseason. They added real NBA players to their roster. They have young players with the vets. And look at them now. They're in the Eastern Conference Finals.
They do have
I know
a
this
very-
might be, they might top out right now, but whatever. Go ahead. What did you say?
No, sorry for interrupting. They do have a very well balanced lineup. I will tell you that.
They do. And now they have a good coach, and look at them. So
there is a tweet of yours. I wish I could find it, but it was after the Knicks won Game 2 versus the Hawks, and
Which one?
I was saying, like, I made this point, and it was like John Collins was terrible in Game 2. I was like, he's gonna
and
be
I'm not
better
worried
in
about
Game
John
3.
Collins.
And you made some snarky comment about
I
John.
said nobody's worried about
Collins.
John Collins.
Yeah, but like we're not the Nets. We don't care about them. Like he's been on a tear.
I found it already. So you
how
said
do you find these things so fast?
I just type in your Twitter handle without the @ and then you type in like the keywords from the tweet because I remember it. So I remember exactly what I said. So I was able to.
Let's hear the whole thread.
Okay, so you said a response to one of my tweets, which we won't go in. It was one of our long, stupid conversations. You said 2 close games in New York, now going to Atlanta's home court. Just seems even. I said 2 close games of the Knicks, best player playing like crap. Once he started turning it on the second half, last night the Knicks took control. The Knicks got easy and open shots all game, in both games, actually. They just didn't go down. And then you said John Collins isn't putting up the stat line again, too. You can't minimize the Hawks' home court because the Garden was great. I'm just saying it should be an awesome game and as a toss-up. LOL. Apologies for giving my opinion. And then I said, nobody's scared of John Collins. Unlike Nets fans, Knicks fans travel, and lots of them already live in Atlanta. In the words of Jay-Z, it's about to get real ugly in here. And yeah,
we're right.
It was getting ugly. Just so the Knicks. That's a bad one for me. And then you go, only took you 4 tweets to bring up the Nets, rent free. Oh man, this is why I gotta stop Twitter, man. This is like too many things.
This is actually a funny segment idea. We should just find tweet exchanges from a random game and look at them and just see how stupid they sound now. I actually kind of love this.
Yeah, no, that was great.
We'll do one next week too. That was fun.
We will. Okay, so you want to do the jersey number trivia?
Yeah, let's do it. You have one ready?
So every episode per episode, we were doing a jersey number. So if it was episode 37, we're guessing number 37s. But since we're in the 60s and there are no 60s, we're guessing random numbers. This is episode 69, and I don't think there's a net 69. If there is, that's pretty funny. If there is not, no.
Sexual reference.
Get it?
I get it.
Get it?
Yep. It's a sex thing.
Okay. it's a sex thing.
Well, it's like, yeah, I don't know. That's what it is.
Well, it's not technically sex, but anyway.
Okay,
next.
Okay, Bill Clinton. Let's move on here, bud.
Let's not end the podcast. Okay, so you want to go first, or you want me to go?
All right, I got one. Number 12. He played for the Knicks from 1966 to 1974.
Number 12. I have no idea.
Dick Barnett.
Dick Barnett.
I just wanted to say Dick.
I should have just said that. I should have just said that because I should have given myself a chance to think because the 12 sounded like that's. I see that in the rafters, and I gave up too quick. That's
all right. I got another one for you. Number 15.
Another one.
He played for the Knicks in 1947.
15 and 47. I don't know. It's not Earl of the Pearl.
Dick Murphy.
Dick McGuire.
Dick
right?
Murphy.
Dick Murphy. Oh.
That's what it says. I don't know.
Isn't there 2 15s that are retired? I think there's 2 15s that are
retired. I'm just saying this is the number.
No, because there are definitely 2 15. Yeah, there's 2 15s that are retired. So I think it's Dick McGuire.
All right, I'll get it easier for you. You ready?
Yeah, Dick McGuire, Earl of Pearl, and Dick McGuire, the 2 15s retired. See,
right.
I know my things.
Number 8 for the Knicks from 2012 to 2015.
2012 to 2015. That's a long time.
He has one of the most infamous NBA Finals moments of the last decade. He has won a championship. I can say
2012
something that would give it away.
Oh, J.R. Smith?
Yes.
It's just like I'm thinking like these crazy people. I don't know what was like going through my mind.
I made it easy for you.
Too easy. Yeah, you did.
All right.
Number 31 for the Nets. 96 to 97. Yeah, that was too easy.
There you go, Dolan. You like that? I got it before you finally.
Dolan J.
He's living in my head.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, he is. Okay, since today is the 21st, let's give you a number 21.
Kevin Edwards.
No.
I feel like we've done
That's
him
Dolan
7
J. Trump's favorite net player is Kevin Edwards. He
Yeah.
always mentions Kevin Edwards.
Did he go to Kevin Edwards go to school? I want to say somewhere.
DePaul.
I was gonna say DePaul. I swear to
Or-
God. Yes, I was.
Okay,
Ed O'Bannon,
number
UCLA.
21.
That's easy.
Yeah, that obviously. I mean, if you don't know that, you just don't pay attention to basketball.
Yeah.
Where did I just go? Okay. Number 21, he played for the Nets from 2006 to 2008. He played one full season for them,
Bobby
and then looks like
Simmons.
he got traded. Nope, it looks like he got traded. Oh, he played 2.5 years. So 2005, 2006 through 2007, 2008 in the middle of the season. Either got traded or let go in the middle of the year.
Who was it?
It was a trade. He was drafted by the Nets with the 15th pick in the 2005 draft.
Oh, he was drafted by the Nets. Oh, Antoine
First round
Wright.
pick. Got it. See, I knew you would get it. So you're a draft guy. The draft. You should just do draft trivia. That would just be
Texas
like
A&M.
Crush that. Texas A&M. Good job, man. Where'd he go to high school? Come on. Call yourself a fan,
Man,
bro. Come
I forgot
on.
about Antoine Wright. He was a bust.
Yeah, he was. He was. Career average 5.4 points.
He was not very good. Yeah, I don't know. It's
No.
funny. If you might be better at saying what number they were drafted. I probably could tell you what player it was before the number. If they were drafted by the Nets.
Oh, if they're let's see. So let's do.
But if
let's
it was
try
like
that
a
right now.
non-net, it might be
Okay, let's
tough.
do.
And then we can end it.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
1993, first round, 16th pick.
93. So 16th?
16th.
Oh, was it Rex Walters?
That was Rex Walters.
Yeah.
Your boy.
Kansas.
Kansas, that's right.
But he transferred
There you
from
go.
somewhere else, but I couldn't tell you where.
Northwestern, it says.
Northwestern. All right.
From
Bad
Omaha,
Weather
Omaha
Fans.
Nebraska. There you go. That's his whole life story. Yeah, bad weather fans. That's the story.
Episode number 69. Hey, guys.
That's lose.
Nets lose. 69. Nets lose. Go check out
Nets
the
are in
YouTube
first, so.
version. We will continue to be doing the podcast. Just because the Nets and Knicks seasons are over doesn't mean we will stop. We will continue to churn out content, and we will continue to give you all of the news. And of course, this episode was mainly Nets for obvious reasons. But as Alex had mentioned, we will be doing Mets and just every other kind of New York sport going on. With basketball as the heartbeat of this podcast, we will get into other big topics that are going on in sports. But of course, always talking about the Nets. I was going to say the Nets and Knicks, and it came off as the Knicks.
The Knicks. Yeah.
So
Interesting.
they combined together.
Listen, we're going to talk about everything. We're
Your
going to
new
talk about Jets
Nets.
training camp. Yeah. Soon it'll be preseason for the football, and we'll get into that and who's starting and what's happening. And we'll talk about a Jets backup quarterback that matters, but it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Every year I get upset. Oh, we got Joe Flacco. That's a good backup. And like, what the hell does that even matter? If you lose your starting quarterback, it doesn't matter. See, we're going to get into things like that over the summer. We're going to talk about it. We'll save it. We'll save these hot topics of backup quarterbacks for the summertime. The Mets are in first place. The Yankees are getting a little better, but they're not very good. And they're kind of boring. And they might have a new manager one day, but they probably don't fire their manager in the middle of the season, Aaron Boone, but they don't do that. So anyway, bad weather fans, it's mostly basketball. Knicks and Nets are the core of this podcast.
Bad Weather Fans, episode 69.
Yeah.
Alex, took 69 episodes, but the Nets are gone. So we'll see you for 70.
I'm very upset about that. Have a good one.
Yep. Fuck off.